Pope. I am an equine, myofascial, and craniosacral therapist, which means I work on the fascial system and I also work on structure at the same time. Today, I'm going to show you crossfiber grooming techniques, which is what I do on my horse every single day. This is Baloo, and you're gonna see his butt right now. At some point, you'll see his face. And crossfiber friction grooming is fantastic. You can either do it before and after you ride. Sometimes if you're running out of time, at least do it after you ride, because it is your first line of defense for if they're sore, if they have a skin condition, if you wanna undo you being crooked on your horse so that their tissue moves after you ride. It's just a really good way of checking in with your horse and seeing how their tissue is feeling. So let's get started. So I always use an Epona curry. I find that most horses like this curry. If your horse doesn't like this curry, then find a curry that they do like. But the Epona curries are nice and gummy so that they're not abrasive. And they kind of blend really well with the tissue, which I like. And then I don't really have a particular brand of body brush that I like, because I find every horse is very different in the type of body brush that they like. This one is a pretty mid-level bristle. You want your bristles to be about this long so that you can sink into the tissue and then pull it along with you. But this might be too hard for some horses. They might need a little bit softer of a brush. So you gauge what your horse needs. So when I'm grooming, I always start with their neck. Most of the time I'm gonna be working this way, but when I do their neck, I actually work from the base of their neck up to their occiput, because some horses are a little bit head shy. And
what is an occiput?
What is an occiput? The occiput is the back of their skull right here. Okay, so you're going, technically C7's in there, but C7 to C1 of their neck, you're going up. So what you're gonna do, you're gonna see the way that the hair wants to go this way. Okay, so you're always gonna go perpendicular to the way the hair wants to go. So I'm gonna start here at the base of his neck, and you're just gonna meet the pressure of the tissue. You're not gonna be pushing in too deep. You're not gonna be too light, so like you're like a bug on their skin. None of that. You're just gonna meet the pressure of the tissue, and it's not even that hard, but it's consistent. You're gonna slowly work up their neck. But what you're gonna do is you're gonna feel for an area where all of a sudden you feel like you have to push through the tissue. That means you've come across a fascial restriction, and you're just gonna stay in that spot. So I have a little bit of a fascial restriction right here. And now you can see that he's licking and chewing in response to that. So that's broken up. So I'm gonna keep going up to his head. And there's a little bit of a fascial restriction right here, which means the tissue just feels a little bit thick underneath my curry. So I'm just gonna keep going until I feel like it feels a lot smoother, or he licks and chews. You're always looking for signs of them releasing. So licking, chewing, yawning, stretching, a deep sigh, any of the above. The other thing during this process that's really important is just to keep cleaning your brush and your curry. I always have them one in each hand so I can keep cleaning it, especially your brush. Your next step is you're gonna be smoothing out this tissue that you just curried, okay? You're gonna wanna smooth it out just as long as you curried it for. So this is not just 3 brushes and you're done. You're taking this tissue and you're essentially pulling it down. So imagine if you had a spandex suit on and you had that spandex bunched up around here. That's the idea of a fascial restriction. So when you're brushing it out, you're smoothing out that tissue that we just got some blood flow to. And then you're gonna notice as you brush that their tissue is gonna get, oh, perfect. And then he puts his head down, good boy. Their tissue is gonna get all nice and shiny. And that is a horse with healthy tissue. Okay, now we're gonna move on to their shoulder. As you can see here, the way that the hair moves changes. So you have their scapula, which is kind of like a triangle. So when I curry, I kind of move like a fan so that this hair, I go perpendicular, and then I go all the way down their leg. So their tendons and ligaments don't have a lot of blood flow to begin with, so grooming down there is so good for them because it helps keep everything flexible and moving. So that is always the goal. I'm gonna go right along the scapular edge, and then I move like a fan. And right here, I can feel that the tissue is a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna wait for a second. There, and that just released. You can even see it. He relaxes his head and all of a sudden the tissue looks really gooey. The same thing, we're gonna brush this out for just as long as we curried it. You're gonna meet the pressure of the tissue. Okay, so now we're gonna curry down their leg. Obviously their hair goes this way. So I'm gonna go perpendicular. We're gonna go all the way down. And then I tend to do the base of his leg vertically just because you can do it horizontally and then you can do it vertically, but I just like to get every nook and cranny down here. If your horse wears bell boots, they can get fungus under their bell boots. It's really important to curry underneath here. Okay, and then we're just gonna brush that out. Get the back, get the inside, so you can cross fiber friction groom around that entire leg. Okay, so let's continue on down his back. So their paraspinals run right along their spine. What I like to do is do this section all the way down to their hamstrings, and then I'll go in and do his belly and his ribs. And then you can see right here, all of a sudden, the tissue is a little bit thicker. So I'm gonna wait for him to release. Really important to groom right over their sacrum. A lot of horses have really stiff SIs. So you can groom right over the top of that bone. So it's a little bit thick right through here. So again, I'm not using tons of pressure. I'm waiting for that to release. That just released. Moving his weight down. And then you can continue right down their leg. Okay, so let's brush out this part, and then we'll do the ribs. So again, I'm gonna brush just as long as I curried. I like to do nice long strokes along the paraspinals because I wanna use this entire tissue structure. And you can see as you brush it, that the tissue is getting jiggly. It's a really good sign. You have to make sure that you groom their sternum every single day. So their sternum is the bone where their girth sits on top of and their ribs connect to. But if you think about it, your girth is like a corset, okay? So there's pressure on that bone and all that tissue structure. And so it can get really, really jammed in there. So a lot of horses hate to be groomed down there because it's honestly really, really tight. But if you do really, really slowly, most of them will get used to it and start to like it. There he goes, good boy. Good job. And then he yawns, good boy. So I always do his face last because sometimes he likes it and sometimes he doesn't, honestly. But I'm sure a lot of you have noticed this if they're heavy in one hand over the other where they decide to clench their jaw. So you can cross fiber friction their jaw. So what I do is I pull the halter back, right? You're gonna go right into this tissue right here. You're gonna see this bone. You're gonna right parallel to it. Their cranium has bones with joints that are called synarthritic joints. They go in and out of each other with a little squiggle. They literally fit like this. So it's really important to do their entire cranium if you can. Also, you think about our nose band being tight, same thing as the girth. That creates fascial restrictions. We want to release all of that tissue. Oh, good boy. Okay. Good job. Hey guys, so that was our cross fiber friction grooming video. Baloo needs a well-deserved snack. Hope you have fun with this technique. I find it really helps me bond with my horse before and after my ride, and I also love the way that I can see the difference in his tissue flexibility. So have fun with it.